Hi friends, a very good evening. So can you folks please confirm if you can see my screen and if you can hear my audio? If you can confirm that in the chat window so that we know that there are no technical glitches. Can you please confirm that? Let me also see the feedback. There seems to be a small glitch, but everything seems to be working all right. My Wi-Fi is stable. Okay, so everything is looking good. That's good news. So okay, we'll start the session itself in a minute or two. Thank you for confirming that you can see the audio, you can see my screen and hear my audio clearly. Okay, thankfully some of our mentors also have joined the session, so they'll be answering some of the questions in the chat window which I'm not able to answer. Right, so everything is fine. That's good. So we'll start the session in a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay, some interesting stuff in the chat window. Again, we don't care about competition, we care about students. That's a great lesson I learned while working at Amazon. You should always be obsessed about your students, obsessed about their success, and not obsessed about the competition. Because in the history of companies, there is a great case study that companies who focused on innovating for their customers ended up being enormously more successful than companies who focused on competition. So we don't care about competition. We learn a lot of stuff from others. I mean, we have huge respect for our competitors, but we care more about our student success. Anyway, sounds good. So I have made some notes here. 1 second, let me just close this. I think there is a PDF here. Okay, so let me just open up this PDF. Just give me a second, folks. Let me just arrange this. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I want to convey to our GATE students before we go into the session. I have 2 slides of notes, primarily for GATE students. After this, I'll go into the session itself. So just give me 5-10 minutes. There are a couple of things that we are observing from our GATE students based on the data that we process from all of the student participation on the course. There are a couple of things that we thought we'll convey, then we'll jump into the session itself. I'll take 5-10 minutes for this. First and foremost, all of our GATE registered students, one thing that we're observing is we see a lot of students who are continuously watching videos as if it's a Netflix TV series, right? Or it's a TV series on Amazon Prime. Please don't do that. This is not a TV series. Okay, we have seen some students who just watch like 8 hours of just videos. And then we call them and ask them, why are you just watching videos without solving practice problems? Again, if you just watch videos and if you don't practice problems, whatever videos you have watched, you will forget all of that in 3 months. Number one, take my word for it. You will not remember anything if you binge watch the videos. I strongly recommend that whenever you watch any videos in the course itself, after a bunch of videos, we have, again, in the videos, we solve some problems. We have lot of practice problem sessions. Please solve these problems. Again, we have 5,000 plus problems for your practice. So don't worry that you'll run out of problems, because it's only by solving these problems you know how well you have understood the concept, what gaps of understanding you have, and how to learn better. So no binge watching. Again, all those people, again, we have spoken to hundreds of students who are binge watching, and this is, if you binge watch and if you think I'll practice all of this later, your preparation for this year GATE is gone. Let me put it that brutally, honestly, right? Please don't binge watch, because whatever you're binge watching, you'll forget it in no time. So watch a bunch of videos, solve the practice problems, and keep doing that. Because at the end of the day, in GATE, it's not about how many videos you've watched, how much theory you know. It's all about problem solving. Okay, number one, that's very, very important. Second thing is, in our comment section, we are happy that students are asking good questions, but please try to mention the timestamp. Just say at so and so time, at 12 minutes 30 seconds. Okay, I have this doubt. By mentioning this timestamp, it helps us enormously to go to the exact place where you have the problem and address it fast. If you don't mention it, one of our mentors has to sometimes go through the whole video trying to figure out exactly where you're stuck. So by mentioning the timestamps, we can revert back to you. Try to use, okay, so please try to use timestamps in the comment section so that we know exactly where you're stuck and we can guide you better. Third thing, when students send us problems, sometimes students just send us, okay, can you please explain the solution to this? That's not helpful, because in such a case, we'll just give you a generic answer. Please share a picture of your solution. So whatever problem you have, whatever solution that you're solving, please write it on a piece of paper, take a picture with your phone and send it to us, so that we know where you got exactly stuck, so that we know where you have a gap, so that we can give much more customized answers to your questions instead of giving generic answers, right? So anybody who is stuck at a problem, who can't solve it, again, attempt it a couple of times. If you still can't figure out the solution, please write it on a piece of paper, take a picture, send it to us so that we can give you much more relevant and customized answers, understanding where you're making a mistake and where you got stuck. Right? These are a couple of suggestions for our students so that we can help them better. The next thing is, okay, practice tests, right? Please, for heaven's sake, when you're going through the content, we have practice tests, and please take these practice tests. Please don't ignore them. Don't worry that you'll run out of practice questions. If you finish all the 5,000 questions and if you need more questions, we'll give you. Don't worry about that. The questions in the practice tests have been picked up from standard textbooks and from top universities like Stanford, MIT, IIT Bombay, IISc, etc. From top university exams and assignments, right? So these are very good practice problems, and we do not repeat the same problems, and they're not trivial, right? We try to make sure that the problems you have in practice are of good quality. And the whole objective here is to improve your problem solving skills. This is one of the most important skills. GATE only tests for two things. Do you have basic problem solving skills, and do you have the knowledge of all the core subjects of computer science? It's only testing for two things, right? That's all it's doing. So the purpose of practice test is to improve your problem solving skills, and if you don't take them, all that goes down the drain. And we also get a lot of students who said, I just got some 45% marks in the practice tests. Is that okay? So let me suggest you one thing. If you are getting 40+% marks in the practice tests as of now, this is late May, consider that good enough. Don't worry about it. See, everybody starts at a different point. Some students have very good problem solving skills at the outset, so they will get higher accuracies. Some students don't have problem solving skills, but through practice, by Feb of 2021, they can build these skills, right? So even if you're getting 40+ marks, it's a good sign. Again, we have students who are getting 80+ marks also, 80% plus marks also. You're doing a good job. Continue your focus, practice. But even if you're getting 45% or 50%, that's perfectly okay. We have seen students last year who at this point of time in late May were getting 45% marks, but they worked very hard. They practiced thousands of problems, and by the time they came to the exam, some of them even got double-digit ranks, right? Again, whenever you make a mistake or whenever you can't solve a problem, please retry it at least once or twice without seeing the solution. Seeing the solution is a shortcut. You're not learning and building the problem solving skills by seeing the solution. Please retry one or two times. Again, if you still can't do it, then you can see the solution. And very importantly, please make a note of silly mistakes. Most silly mistakes are general ones. They're subject independent. For example, you're not reading the question. You're doing simple calculation mistakes. So the general common mistakes across all subjects, make a list of them and put it on a wall. Because from our own experience, 80% of silly mistakes are subject independent. They're not dependent on the concept. They're like either the person hasn't read all the 4 options carefully, or the person hasn't read the question carefully, and things like that. So these general common mistakes, make a list of them. You'll have like 5 to 10 of them that you might commit at most. Put it on a wall where you sit and study so that you know not to do those mistakes, right? Again, these are some of the suggestions that I had for all of our GATE students. And I hope, again, these are some suggestions so that your preparation goes smoother. Now coming to today's topic, right? So today's topic is how to stay motivated and disciplined for your GATE preparation or for any learning task. Remember, GATE preparation takes few months. Again, the amount of time might differ from person to person. I know people who have just prepared for 4 to 5 months and cracked GATE. I know people who have prepared for 3 years and haven't cracked GATE, right? So there are all sorts of cases. But any learning task that you have where you have to put in 4-6 months, right? An average student who is preparing for GATE and getting good rank prepares anywhere from 6 to 9 months, an average student, right? So any learning task that you have, whether it is GATE or anything in your life, which requires a few months of consistent and persistent effort, how to stay motivated and how to stay disciplined in this process. Again, some of these lessons that I'll share are from psychology and are from research in psychology, some from my own personal experiences and personal experiences of our mentors, and lessons that we all learned together, right? So again, some of the questions that we get from our students is, they say, please conduct motivational sessions. Okay, this is a question that we have seen in chat window for our live sessions. We've gotten emails in some of our calls with our students. We've seen this. Some students say, I lose motivation. What should I do? Some students say, I get demotivated when I make mistakes in practice tests. What should I do? Some students say, I'm not finding time to prepare. I'm a working professional or I'm a student. I'm very busy. I'm not finding time to prepare. These are some of the questions that we get, and we hope the very popular questions both on the chat window and in general. So we thought we'll address some of these questions in this session. Now, first and foremost, let me ask you a very simple question. What motivates you to brush your teeth every day? Very simple question. Do you require an external motivation to brush your teeth every day? Very simple question, right? This is something that we all, at least a vast majority of us do it. Okay. So what motivates us to brush our teeth every day? Or is brushing our teeth a habit that we have built over the years, that it has become part and parcel of our life, and we don't require external motivation to brush our teeth? Think about it. Again, this is a very important question to ask yourself. What motivates you to brush your teeth every day in the morning? Very simple question. Again, I'll walk you through some good research and also some basic concepts. What happens is, all forms of external motivation, what are forms of external motivation, you might ask? You might watch a beautiful movie, right? You might have watched a brilliant, like Beautiful Mind or some phenomenal movie, and you're motivated after that. Or you've heard somebody give a motivational talk and you're motivated after that. Or you've solved a very interesting problem, or you've solved some practice problems and you've done very good at it, and that motivates you. Or for some people, money could be a motivation, and that's perfectly all right. For some people, fame could be a motivation. For some people, frustration could be a motivation. They're not happy in their current work, they're not happy in their current college, and they want to go to a top institution. For some people, fear can be a motivation, right? So fear like, okay, this year we are in a pandemic, so there may be no jobs, and I'm graduating now, what should I do? Or pain is also a great external motivator. So all these are forms of again, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a partial list of things that motivate us from an external viewpoint, right? But remember that all of this external motivation is short term, which means you watch a motivational talk by somebody, okay? It could be me or it could be anybody. It could be anybody on YouTube, TED Talk, some instructor, some teacher, something like that. Or you watched a brilliant movie, right? And you're motivated. For 2 or 3 days, you're like crazy motivated. And slowly, after all that, you get into your comfort zone, the motivation dies. Happens to all of us. We are all, after all, humans, right? We all have the same brain structure, right? So what happens is, I call this short-term motivation, which you get from external sources like this. Even if you have fear and pain, even frustration, right? What happens here is, you're frustrated at your job maybe. You complain about it and you say, I'm going to change everything in the next 2 or 3 days, right? Cool, very good. Then you work hard for 2 or 3 days. Then slowly you say, theek hai yaar, let's get back to our regular comfort zone. So what happens is this motivation lasts just for some people even few hours, for some people just few days. It doesn't last for the long term. But for something like GATE or for any important task in your life, you need to have that motivation and dedication close to almost a year, right? So what happens is this short-term motivation, whether it is somebody giving a talk, you watching a movie, any of that, it will not last long. And that's why motivational talks seldom work, which means they don't often work, right? I've seen a lot of students who get motivated. Again, we see this in our data also. So if there is a motivational session for next 2 or 3 days, people start watching videos left and right, and the same candidate after 3 days, I'm like, chill, let's chill. They go back to their earlier comfort zone, right? So external short-term motivation doesn't work when you're required to put in effort over a long duration of time. It never works, or for a very small percentage of people this works, right? Now again, the same thing holds even for money and fame. Everybody wants money, but nobody wants to put in the hard work for a year. So you want money, right? You want to get a better package, you want to learn more, all of that stuff. That engagement and motivation will be there for 2 or 3 days, but slowly it will die off and you'll get into your comfort zone, right? So external motivations don't work very often. They work in the short term, but they don't work when you have to put in effort for a long term. And there is a lot of psychology research which shows this. Now, for long-term impact, what should you do? Right? If you want to be focused and motivated in the long term, what can you do? A simple suggestion is you act on your short-term motivation. Let's assume you have motivation for 2 days or 3 days or 7 days, whatever it is. Act on that motivation and build a habit. And what is a habit? Habit is something that we do with discipline every day, like brushing our teeth, like eating 3 meals every day, right? So these are habits that we have formed over the years. Nobody has to give you external motivation to brush your teeth in the morning, or to have your breakfast in the morning, or lunch in the afternoon, or a chai in the evening, or dinner at night. Right? So the important thing here is your short-term motivation. If you can act on your short-term motivation and build a disciplined habit, then habits are something that you can work with for years together, just like brushing your teeth, right? You can build a habit, and these habits survive and help you not just for your GATE preparation, but through the rest of your career, if you're disciplined about it. But the big question here is, how do you do that? You watch a movie or you watch a talk and you have short-term motivation. But how do you translate that short-term motivation into building a habit? Again, there is a lot of research on mammals, on monkeys, on humans, on rats, on how habits can be formed. There is a lot of research. Very importantly, in most cases, again, I'm not saying in 100% of the cases, in 99% plus of the cases, motivation is short-term. You cannot scale this for the long duration of time, while habit is long-term. Habits that you build, you can build them long-term. You can scale them trivially, right? Motivation is like pleasure. It's like eating a chocolate cake, okay? Or it's like eating biryani, okay? It gives you huge pleasure because it feels filling. But pleasure, as you all know, is short-lived. It's not happiness. Good habits or getting rid of bad habits like smoking can create happiness. And remember, motivation is untrackable. You can't track motivation. It's very hard. While habit is trackable, motivations are non-persistent. They don't last long term. While habits can be persistent, motivation is unsustainable. Who will give you a motivational talk every day? And even if somebody gives you a motivational talk every day or every week, that motivation will die. Right? While habits are sustainable, once you build a habit, you don't require external motivation to do it repeatedly. So I think anybody who's preparing for GATE should build habits using short-term motivation. I'm not saying there is no role for motivation. There is a role of motivation. But motivation which you get in the short term, maybe 2 days, 1 week, try to build a habit from that. Because habits scale and you can use them in the long term. That's very, very important. Now, let me give you a personal example, okay? I never used to brush at night before I sleep. Okay, this is a habit that I wanted to build. Okay, my wife encouraged me to build it because she brushes at night and she says it's just personal hygiene, much better for your teeth. Why don't you just start brushing at night? I would try it. I would get motivated. 2 or 3 days I would do, and then I'll start skipping. Again, you might say brushing is a very simple thing. Why don't you just do it? I mean, it's not easy if you have to do it every day, day in, day out, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So brushing at night is a habit that I wanted to build. Again, I'm giving you a very simple example so that you can understand it. Okay, I'll tell you complex habits that I have built personally over the years, and some of our teammates have built over the years. And again, we're trying to compose this from experiences of all of our mentors, the books that you have read. Again, here, this is more of my personal example, right? But I'll give you examples from our team also. So I wanted to brush at night. I would do it for 2-3 days. I'm super motivated. Then I'll start skipping. Never worked out. So there is this famous book called Atomic Habits. Very, very popular book. It's a New York Times bestseller. Phenomenal book. There are a bunch of very good books. Atomic Habits is one of the best books that I've read, along with The Power of Habit. I'll refer to these two books extensively. Phenomenal books on how you can actively build a habit. So they talk about 4 important stuff that they've learned from psychology. First thing is you have to have a cue or a hint. Okay, one thing that I would do, again, remember the habit that I wanted to build personally was to brush at night every day, right? So that's what I wanted to build. Okay, so for this, I'm giving you this as a running example. I would set an alarm at 10 p.m. with a special ringtone. This is not the regular ringtone. Okay, there is a special ringtone and my alarm goes off at 10 p.m. which is like a hint or a cue, as it's called in English, which tells me that it's time for you to go and brush. Very simple. It's a very simple audio cue so that I don't miss it. Then once this happens, the second thing you want is you want a craving or a desire or a want. So I love dried fruits. Okay. So what I've done here is I've said I will eat dried fig. Fig is nothing but anjeer. For those of you who want it in Hindi, right? So I love dried figs, but I said I'm not going to eat dried figs at any point of the day. I'm going to eat 2 dried figs because this is the craving. I love them. I mean, I'm a big foodie. Okay. I love food. Okay. I said, okay, I'll have 2 dried figs as soon as the alarm rings at 10 p.m. and this will be my last snack of the day. I will not eat anything after this. Okay. Again, as soon as the alarm rings, my brain says, hey, there are figs waiting for you. There is anjeer waiting for you. Let's go eat it. Once that is done, I place my dried figs box right next to my brush. Okay, I use an electric brush, so I put it right next to each other. The electric brush charging point and my dried figs are right next to each other. So as soon as I pick my figs, I want to brush because that's what I've designed this whole system for. After I brush, again, brushing is the response or the action that I want to perform. Then I create a reward, which is once I finish my whole task, I mean, there are multiple habit tracking apps that you have. You can just go to, whether you're using iOS or Android, just go to the App Store, just type habit tracking. You'll get tons of apps. Pick any of them. So as soon as I finish my brushing, I click that. Okay, and I can track how many days I brushed in a week, was I diligent, etc. So this is a very simple loop where at a specific time I get a cue or a hint which says time to brush. Then I create a craving based on something that I love to do. Then after this, I brush. Then I get a reward. Okay, it's a very simple concept from this book called Atomic Habits. It has worked phenomenally well, not just for me, but for many of our teammates. Our teammates didn't have, some of them, because of the workload that we have, they didn't have good sleeping habits, good eating habits, right? Some of them actually quit smoking because of building this type of system, right? It's a very, very good toolkit to use. Now, in addition to that, there are multiple hacks. As I told you, I used to place my dried figs right next to the electric brush so that as soon as I pick 2 figs, my brain also knows that I have to pick my electric brush and brush. And Another form of reward that I typically give myself because I finished the job that I have is at 10 p.m. after I brush, I go play with my son who is 2 years old, and then we get him to sleep. We tell him a small short story. It's my half an hour, 45 minutes of, like, this is one of the play times that I have with my son. So 10 p.m. after that, I stop working for an hour or so, brush, play with my son, we get him to sleep and things like that. So this is also a great way to reward myself. And I try to make this very easy by placing the figs and the electric brush right next to each other. And no distractions here. Again, this might seem like a trivial example here. Some people might think, okay, this is just about brushing teeth. Why are you making a big deal about it? But I wanted to give you a personal example of something that I started doing just in the last couple of months. But the same strategy of cue, craving, response, reward, I've used it multiple times to become disciplined, because being a part of this startup is pretty hectic, and it's very important for us to stay healthy, spend time with family, spend time with students, clarify, record videos, answer questions, all of that stuff. Again, now the most important thing here is, whatever I have given you the example of brushing teeth at night, how do you translate this to learning tasks, which require typically 3 to 5 hours a day? How do you translate this simple example to a learning thing wherein you have to spend few hours every day? So this is something that works for me. Again, each of you have to figure this out. The way I personally work, okay, and this is something that I've recommended to a lot of my teammates, and many of them have moved to this format. So I try to study in 90-minute chunks. Okay, so every 90 minutes, what I try to do is as follows. Okay, every 90 minutes, I focus for 80 minutes on the task that I am doing, and for 10 minutes, I revise whatever I've done in the 80 minutes, whether it is learning, whether it is doing a video, answering students' questions, whatever it is. 80 minutes, no WhatsApp, nothing. Unless there is an emergency, my team doesn't call me. So if there is nothing urgent, I go back to my WhatsApp after the 90 minutes. Okay, or I go back to anything that my team has shared, my emails, after the 90 minutes. Okay, so 80 minutes of focused work, 10 minutes of revision or packing things up. This is a strategy that works very well for me. But for some of our teammates, they also have task-based. So they say, whether it takes 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or 120 minutes, I'm going to finish this task. Then after this is done, it's a good idea to take a break, because the human mind cannot focus for too long on a single task. So in the break, get yourself good, get yourself water, hydrate yourself, okay, or get yourself some tea or coffee, or eat a snack, eat a healthy snack, or ensure that your breaks are either lunch breaks or snack breaks or whatever it is, right? So the task-based scheduling or the time-based scheduling with breaks is a phenomenal strategy. And again, I personally am a morning person, but some of our teammates are also night people. So we try to fix a schedule. So a good schedule that works personally for me is 5 to 6:30 a.m., 1.5 hours. I don't check my email unless there is an emergency. I don't even touch my phone. Okay. I either write notes for the videos that I have to make or anything important that I have to do that day. So 1.5 hours, this 90-minute session, I do one session, 6:30 to 7, I get my tea, morning tea, take a short break, step out, breathe some good air, and 7 to 8:30 is my next session. So by the time my family wakes up, I already have finished 3 hours of concrete effort. And this is something that all of you can do. Again, this is my preferred way because I'm a morning person. We have some of our teammates who also do it at night. They say from 10 to 11:30 they'll sit. By 10 they would have their dinner. 90 minutes they would finish whatever task they started off with. Half an hour break. In the break they might have a snack or just drink water, tea, coffee, whatever. Then 1.5 hours at night after that. Right? So even if you're preparing for 3 days, try to break your whole time into 90-minute chunks with a good break in between. And make the break a time where you're hydrating yourself with water or eating a small snack. Again, late night, avoid snacks, but just eat something healthy if you can, if you're really hungry. This is my preference. Again, I prefer the morning personally because by the time, so by 8:30, 9 in the morning, before I even have my breakfast, I have done a lot of work, lot of important work. 3 hours, I can do a lot of the most important work of my day personally, whether it is writing notes, sometimes even recording videos happens actually in these early 3 hours. Sometimes I try to extend it to even 4 hours. I wake up little early and work till almost 9 a.m. before my breakfast, right? So 3 to 4 hours you can easily squeeze in the morning and get really good work. And this morning routine helps me ensure that the whole day I'm very satisfied that yes, I have put in 3 to 4 hours early in the morning. I've gotten my work done. The work that the most important work of the day, I try to do it early in the morning because then my rest of the day is very satisfying. What happens is if you postpone everything to late at night, you have to be much more disciplined because you will find some excuse not to do the work at night. Either you're tired, you had a hectic day, some excuse you'll cook up, right? So I prefer mornings, but different people have different preferences. Now, very importantly, please use a habit tracking app. Just Google search for it based on whether you're using iOS or Android. There are tons of them. Or you can just use alarms. This 90 minutes, the way I do it is I use a habit tracking app on my Android phone. And one of the habits is 5 to 6:30. Other habit is 7 to 8:30. I have other habits through the rest of the day. Again, this is something, of course, I try to not just stop working at 8:30. I have a lot of work post 9:30 also. But then I try to ensure that in the first 3 hours, a lot of work is done. Okay. So reward yourself. Use habit tracking apps. We should use technology not to distract us, but to enable us. And habit tracking apps have been extremely useful for me personally and for many people in my team. And reward yourself. Again, I love food. I love dried fruits. I love biryani. So I try to reward myself whenever I do a good job. Okay. Avoid distractions. Very, very important. So there is this very nice app and plugin called Stay Focused. You can install this plugin on your Chrome browser. On most browsers, there is also an app on your smartphone. What Stay Focused app does, again, this is something that I used to use when I wanted to avoid distractions. I don't use it now because I've gotten around that problem. So what this does is it avoids, so you can say, I want you to block so-and-so websites from this time to this time. Block YouTube, block WhatsApp app. You can also block apps, right? So just block everything that is useless that distracts you. Whether it is Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anything that distracts you, just shut them down forcefully by using an app. Over a period of time, you'll get used to it. Now, I don't require an app or I don't require a browser plugin to avoid distractions. I've gotten used to it, but it's a great strategy that has worked very well for some of our teammates. And fix a location to study. Okay, this is a very useful strategy. It could be, you don't require to have a fancy table and all that. Okay, you might be sitting on your bed and studying, but just fix a location to study. Okay, so as soon as you sit in that location, you know that you should study. And just ensure that at the place where you want to study, you just have the most important things, which is your laptop and a notebook on which you write your notes. Throw your mobile phone into a corner. Just avoid distractions, because in this modern day and era, it's so easy to get distracted. I think distraction, social media being one of the biggest problems there, right? Again, another strategy that works very well is the very first thing that I do in the morning personally, and this has worked very well for some of our teammates also, is as soon as I wake up, brush up, just go through all the ablutions, I try to write a daily plan wherein I say, today, what is the work? What is the most important work? Because in a startup, we can't imagine what comes in the afternoon. Okay. But what is the most important plan that I have for myself? For students who are preparing for GATE, you can say, what all topics are you going to learn? What all practice tests are you going to complete? Just create a learning plan for every day. You can also do it for every week. But week is too long a horizon. So my recommendation for some of you is start it on a daily basis. The first thing you do in the morning is tell yourself that from this time to this time, from this time to this time, from this time to this time, I'm going to study. And this is my learning plan. From this time to this time, I'll solve this. From this time to this time, I'll solve these practice problems. Here I'll watch some videos. Okay. Create a learning plan at the very start of the day. And at the end of the day, rate yourself how well you have stuck to your plan. And again, you can just rate it on any of the habit forming apps. They'll show you over time how you rated yourself, all the data you can get. Okay. And your task here is to improve your own rating that you gave on a daily basis. Again, don't cheat here. You're just cheating yourself. Okay. Create a learning plan. The first thing that you do in the morning when you open your phone is not to check your social media. It should be to write a learning plan. Use Google Keep or anything of that sort. Create a learning plan. The first thing you wake up, pick up your phone, write a learning plan for the day and try to execute that. Every day before you sleep, at the end of the day, rate yourself and improve it. Again, this is the measuring part of it. Okay, this is how you measure yourself and improve over time. Of course, you are not a robot, right? None of us are. So create cheat days or break days. So every week, say one day, either it's a Saturday or Sunday, it's up to you. One day you say, today I'm not going to learn. This is my break day. I'm just going to enjoy with my friends. I'm just going to spend time with my family. Take a break day. That's perfectly okay. Okay. So I also create these cheat days. I don't have the opportunity to create a full cheat day. So I create cheat half days or quarter days where I say, okay, I want to get rid of all this. I just want to spend time with myself or with my family. Okay. So create cheat days or at least cheat half days. Again, these things work very, very well. So what I do personally is what I rate myself today, as of today, right? I rate myself on 4 things every day. Again, you could rate yourself on different things. First thing that I rate myself is, did I get focused work done today? Did I get good amount of good quality work done today? It could be recording videos, it could be talking to students, it could be answering emails, whatever it is. It could be sitting on our backend technology, it could be sitting with our dev team, it could be sitting with our marketing, sales, whatever it is. Have I gotten good focused work done today? That's one thing that I rate myself on a 1 to 5 star rating every day. Second, have I spent good amount of time with my family? Personal life is super duper important. I rate myself. Okay, we have a young son and I want to spend quality time with my family. Third, am I being healthy both in my eating habits and my workouts? Again, I work out very little, but I try to be little healthy. Okay, at least with my eating habits. So did I eat well? Did I exercise reasonably well today? Of course, I don't exercise every day, but I try to exercise a few days a week. Very, very importantly, another thing that I do is, again, this is something that may be irrelevant to your gate preparation, but something I do is on weekly basis, I rate myself. Did I personally innovate? Did I innovate on something this week? Again, I can't do innovation every day because innovation is very hard. So the question that I ask myself is there something this week that I'm very proud of, that we have built an innovative solution or we have come up with an innovative solution to a problem that we are facing in the startup? Right? This may be irrelevant for learning, but rest everything. You should stay healthy. You should spend time with your family and friends. But most importantly for gate preparation, are you doing focused work or not? Again, what you rate on changes based on where you are in your life, based on what you're learning and things. Focused work is the most important thing that I rate myself on every day. Very importantly, another problem that we see with students is they don't have long-term thinking. I mean, this is a very common problem that we see. Students learn for 6 or 7 days and they think they should become expert problem solvers. That's not how problem solving works. Okay. Trust me, you will not be able to solve problems the very first time unless you're a brilliant problem solver. Okay. Whether this is gate or anything, remember, you never started walking the first time you tried to walk. You didn't write code the first time you tried to code. You did not read a novel the first time you tried to read. All this required multiple attempts, multiple failures, and a process of learning. So I don't think anybody solves problems the first time except for geniuses. And those are like exceptions to the rule. But remember that the long-term thinking, we have seen students who say, hey, I'm doing this for 15 days, I want results. No, you won't get it. This takes months of effort. Remember that the first ranker in GATE was also in your shoes at the same point of time. Again, people get demotivated when they work hard for 10 days and they come across a problem and they can't solve the problem, and that demotivates them because they're thinking short term. Remember that the first ranker in GATE in the previous years also could not solve simple GATE problems, right? Again, this is very similar to other things. Suppose if you're dieting to lose weight, if you're trying to eat healthy to lose weight, you can't say, okay, I'll stop eating junk food for 10 days and I want to lose 10 kilos. That's not going to happen. Suppose if you're going to gym to build muscle or to lose weight, you can't say, I'll go to gym for 10 days and then I should have a six pack. That's ridiculous. Many things in life, like whether it's losing weight or building muscle or learning problem solving, takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. That's why I said for our problem solving sessions, even if you're getting 40% marks now, it's okay. Because in the next few months, you can easily improve your problem solving skills by solving thousands of problems and with some help from our mentors. So try to create that long-term thinking. Don't panic if you can't solve one problem. GATE is a long-term thing. We see a lot of students who prepare hard for 10 days. They try to solve some problems. In one problem, they get stuck. They lose all the motivation and they stop studying. We see that from our data. Come on. If you don't have long-term thinking, you can never crack GATE. Think of GATE as your bodybuilding exercise or dieting or learning to code. It's all problem solving at the end of the day. Right? So please have that long-term attitude. Very importantly, my suggestion is this. Please, learning for 3 to 5 hours a day should come from a disciplined habit and not from external motivation. You can get external motivation, but external motivation will only stay for 2 or 3 days, maybe 7 days. Use this external motivation. It's a great tool. Use this external motivation to build a habit and when you're building a habit, try to follow this methodology. Try to follow this cue, craving, response, and reward mechanism. It's a very nice idea from the book Atomic Habits. Try to follow that. Again, it has helped many of our teammates enormously. So instead of looking for external motivation, right? Don't look for external motivation every week. Nobody can give you, and even if you need external motivation every week, you're not ready for GATE preparation. So once in a while, external motivation is good, but use that external motivation to build a habit because habits are hard to kill, right? If you have built a habit to have tea at 5 p.m. every day, it's very hard to kill. If you have built a habit to study at specific times every day, it becomes a habit. You don't have to even think about it, right? And if you have the habit of learning for 3 to 5 hours every day, which is built using the external motivation, and if you have long-term thinking, nothing can stop you from cracking GATE. Even if you start today, you can comfortably crack GATE. And this is something that many of our students don't realize. Again, I'll share this whole PDF with you. Here are a couple of very nice videos on YouTube. These are a summary of this book called Atomic Habits by I think by whom? By James Clear, I think that's the name of the author. I forgot the name of the author, but I remember the book. Okay. So here is a very nice summary in English. This is a summary in Hindi for those students who want to hear it in Hindi. There is another very nice book by a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist called The Power of Habit. Again, these two links, I think one of these links is a talk by the author himself. The other is a summary, right? So these are good resources if you want to learn more about how to build habits. Again, these are short videos except for one. One of these videos is a 58-minute video, but rest others are less than 10 minutes. Okay, just watch these videos. They'll give you more data points on how to build habits. If you want short-term motivation, it's very simple. Just go to YouTube and search for motivational videos. There are tons of channels on YouTube which give you motivation, because motivation is easy to give, no? You just have to give some good example. You just have to motivate. Again, there is this channel called Motiversity. There are tons of channels, by the way, on YouTube, which will give you the short-term motivation. I have nothing against short-term motivation. But if you're not using short-term motivation to build habits, it's useless. That's the key takeaway, right? And try to build habits, because once you build a habit, it will stay with you, not just for your GATE preparation, but throughout your life. Again, it's a brilliant thing to build, just like brushing your teeth is a good thing for you, right? So I hope, again, this was what I wanted to cover. This was what I wanted to cover in brief. And I hope some of you will follow the habit forming habits, or some of you will have good takeaways from this. And I'll try to answer a few questions from. Hi folks, I hope I am back. Let me just check. Hi folks, can you hear me please? Can you please confirm if you can hear me in the chat window? I think I'm connected back. Okay, so good. So can you hear me? Can you please confirm? Sorry folks, yeah. So it takes a couple of minutes for the Wi-Fi to quicken. Somebody saying power bank, etc. Guys, so while I have power backup and I don't require it because it's a laptop, the internet service providers connection, the routers also shut down because our whole apartment complex has one. So unfortunately, but thankfully we are back, right? So yeah, so thankfully this session was not terminated. Anyway, sounds good. So there are a couple of questions that I wanted to answer. So Anupam asks, should we read the book or are the video links sufficient? The video links should be sufficient. I'll upload the video and share the link. So please don't worry about it. If you have time, read the book, but you don't have to read the whole book to get the idea, right? I'll share some videos. Again, you can Google search for this. There are some nice talks by the authors of the book themselves. Very nice talks that you can watch. Again, don't spend too much time on it because while it's a good piece of learning, there are other important things in your learning also, right? So, cool. Okay, somebody's asking about Amazon job. So I would probably avoid answering that now because this session is not about careers at Amazon, right? So somebody's asking, some of these questions I have posted answers to before the session started. So you can check those. Where are we? Okay. Okay, how to manage or strike a perfect balance between GATE and competitive programming if attendance in college is not an issue. See, at the end of the day, what competitive programming tests is different from what GATE tests. I know people who have done very good in both of them, but of course, if you're good at competitive programming, you can solve most of the GATE data structures, algorithms, programming questions, but you may not be able to solve others. So it's a trade-off that you have to build. You can say, okay, for 4 hours I'll prepare for GATE. For another 2 to 3 hours I'll prepare for competitive programming. It's all about what you want more and how you want to break those things up. Okay. Why can't we solve CO questions even after studying all the concepts? Again, as I told you, at this time of preparation in late May, many students can't solve all the questions. That's why I said in the practice tests that we have, try to solve at least 40% of the questions that we have, right? So all the questions that you could not solve, before seeing the solution, try to retry them. If you can't solve it, again, remember that problem solving is not something that you have inbuilt. It is something that you have to build. It's a skill that you have to build, right? So if you already are brilliant with problem solving skills, then you can solve these problems. If you're not, you have to build that skill by practicing these problems over and over again, especially those problems that you could not solve the first time around. So if you're stuck with a problem, our suggestion is as follows. Retry, try to solve the problem, or if you got a wrong answer, try to solve it the second time. Try to solve it once or twice after you finish the practice test. And even if you still can't get it, see the solution. Now, after seeing the solution, are you able to understand it? If you can't understand it, please reach out to us and we'll try to explain it better and clarify your questions, right? So it's a process. Don't imagine that you'll be able to solve every question on day 0. No. When I was preparing for GATE, in the first few months, I could not solve like more than 50-60% of the questions. I could only solve the easy and a few medium questions. It took a lot of effort to build that skill over time. And that skill is not built in 5 days or 10 days. You can build it over a 3 to 4 month horizon by being consistent about it. Okay. So is 3 to 5 hours enough if you start from 1st June? Yes. Again, the amount of time that is needed will be different from different people. But for an average student, 3 to 5 hours of consistent effort from the 1st of June is more than sufficient. Okay, so let's go here. My question is online prep or textbooks? Again, I personally, when I prepared for GATE, I prepared from standard textbooks because I had a lot of time. And in my BTech, I studied, when the core subjects were there, I studied them very, very well. Right? So if you have time, go through textbooks. But remember that what we created in the online course is a summary of lot of textbooks from where we explain the concepts in short, in the context of GATE exam, with focus on GATE exam while also giving you practical examples. If you have time, textbooks are a great source. Nothing beats them, but they take almost 3 times more time than going through the online preparation. Okay. So somebody says, again, I have answered this question, Varun, earlier, but if your question here is, by using your notes as the only study material, can I get a good rank? Yes, you can, but let me give you the clauses. If you have studied your BTech subjects in the course syllabus in such a way that you understand the concepts well, notes is mostly for revision. For example, when you had, let's say, data structures algorithms in your second year, first semester, if you have studied them well, if you know the concepts well from good textbooks, the notes is a great way to revise. So if you have already studied the concepts from good textbooks and thoroughly during your coursework in your BTech, number one, if you already have good problem solving skills, then our notes is more than sufficient to revise the concepts. Again, our notes is designed as a revision material. Okay, it's phenomenal for revision. So if you already know all the concepts, you can use our notes for revision, but don't forget to practice questions. Okay, then you can get a good rank. Nothing can stop you. How to manage time efficiently while solving GATE questions in the test series, like within 2 minutes? Again, don't worry about speed right now. Worry about accuracy and foundational concepts now. From October onwards, you can worry about speed. You will automatically get speed. If you solve thousands of problems, you will get speed by the time you come to October, November. So right now, what you should focus on is you should practice questions, you should learn concepts. Whatever mistakes you're doing, make a note of them. That's what I would recommend. So do you recommend reading standard textbooks along with the books? Again, please understand that standard textbooks are great. If you have time, do it. If you don't have time, just stick to the material that we give you and you should be good enough for GATE. Okay. Again, a common mistake that we have seen people do is they take the CLRS textbook, which is a phenomenal textbook, my favorite textbook, and they spend 2 months just reading the textbook. 2 months are gone, right? They probably have become good at reading the textbook. They don't solve problems. They don't solve exercise problems in the textbook. So they don't have practice. They've just read the book. They feel good about it. But 2 months are lost. They're far away from GATE preparation because they have to read 20 other textbooks to crack GATE. So on the other hand, my suggestion is first go through our course videos and practice tests in the order we have. If there is a concept that you don't understand, reach out to us. We'll try to explain you. At the end of it, if you still have time, please read the textbooks. Okay. Okay. So let's see some more questions here. So very good question from Raghavendra. He says, I got rank 4,000 last time. Can I get a very good rank next year? Nobody can guarantee that. Okay. Again, we have seen people who have gotten 1,000 rank 1 year. Next year, they do the same mistakes. They don't improve their knowledge. They don't improve their problem solving skills. They again get the 1,000 rank. We have seen people who have gotten the 1,000 to 1,500 rank for 3 consecutive years because they've never learned from their previous failures. So if you have gotten 4,000 rank last year, I'm sure there are certainly gaps in your knowledge and there is a long way you have to go in problem solving skills. Right? So if you do that, you can get a good rank next year. Nothing stops you. But your 4,000 rank is not a guarantee that you'll get good rank next time. Again, somebody is asking advice for working professionals. So what, you're a working professional? You can wake up at 4:35 in the morning, spend 3 hours learning, right? Or you can spend 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. Working professionals have the work responsibilities, but finish your work quickly, be disciplined, build habits even in a workplace. Don't go for chai discussions and coffee discussions and waste hours. Finish your work, get back home, start studying, right? So, okay, somebody says how to revise. I've completed 7 subjects, PYQs, but this time I'm feeling I've forgotten their concepts. Again, the biggest problem here is in the notes. That's what I think we have mentioned this in the previous sessions also. Use 1 day a week for revision. Always, whatever you have learned that week, 1 day should be revision. Make short notes. So this revision strategy that we discussed, I think we've discussed in the past sessions. Everything that you learn in a week, revise it 1 day. Everything you learn in a fortnight, which is 15 days, revise it. Everything you learn in a month, revise it. GATE, the vastness of syllabus, forces you to revise multiple times. That's why we gave the notes so that you don't have to write long form notes. The reason we gave our notes publicly is because any student, whether he is an applied GATE student or any other student, it should simplify their revision, because revision is one of the hardest things. Okay, so you're a third year student, you have a lot of time. Yes, please go through the videos. Please don't forget to solve problems. And if time permits, because you have 2 years, also read standard textbooks. If you want, again, we mentioned most of the textbooks in our courses, but if you want more, just let us know. Okay, so somebody says when you say 3 to 4 hours, it means video content or total. I mean 3 to 4 hours of focused effort. Some students watch our videos at 1.5x and 2x. It's about 4 hours of effort. That 4 hours can be watching videos or revising something or taking practice tests or writing your mistakes down, whatever it is. 4 hours of focused effort without disturbance. Okay. Should we spend more time on reading reference book or solving more problems? Any day I'll say solve more problems than reading more books, because GATE is all about problem solving. The basic concepts that GATE asks for are very simple. You don't require to read 3 textbooks to understand the concept. The concepts are very simple. What matters is problem solving. So if it's a choice between more problems, more reference book, any day blindly I'll suggest more problems. Okay. Advice for first year students to crack GATE. Very simple. All the subjects that you have in the course curriculum, please read them from standard textbooks. Solve the exercise problems in the standard textbooks. That's it. You're done. That's what I did. Okay. From my BTech first year to final year, I read the best books that I could buy in India. I watched some of the videos at MIT OCW. I solved exercise problems from MIT OCW. I was in a very small engineering college, but I was passionate about computer science. I had big dreams and hopes and aspirations. So I studied like I used to study for 3 hours almost. If you take a year of 365 days, probably 250 days I would study computer science, core computer science, and write code and learn concepts for 3 hours every day. I've done that almost for the whole of my BTech. I've done probably more in my MTech and more at my workplace. Okay. Sir, I'm doing self-study. Where should I practice questions? Very simple. Just take previous year, last 20 year questions. That's a good enough set to practice. If you're doing self-study, great. Just make sure you're practicing enough questions and writing notes. Okay. Somebody asking the schedule for the test series. So the GATE test series for 2021 will be launched in early June. Most likely in the first week of June, but early June for sure. Okay. So somebody says only problem solving can give GATE rank below 50. Again, what problem solving? You're solving only aptitude problems, and if you don't know what is cache miss. So you need both the conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding, I say, is about 1/3. Problem solving is 2/3. Because we have seen people who know all the concepts, but who can't solve problems, they'll never get GATE rank. But if you know the concepts, if you have solved enough problems, you can easily get top 50 ranks. I won't promise anybody top 1 rank or 5 ranks. As I mentioned in the previous live session also, there is a lot of randomness in the top 10 ranks, because a simple experiment that you can do statistically is conduct the gate exam again for the top 100 rankers. I think all their ranks, most of their ranks, if not all of their ranks, will get jumbled up. Because at that moment, in that minute, they've done a silly mistake or this or that. So if you're in the top 50 ranks, it really doesn't matter. You'll get any institute of your choice. Is 6 months enough for GATE? More than sufficient if you're disciplined and if you have the right habits of preparing regularly, right? So you can easily do it. Okay. How much coding skill needed before joining MTech IIT? What about coding programming? You can learn all of that in the 2 years of your MTech. First, get into an MTech program at IIT with a good GATE score. Once you crack your GATE, right, you have at least a few months before you join an IIT. You can do all your competitive programming then, because your foundational concepts of algorithms, data structures, programming are strong. Okay, so don't worry about that. How many hours do you work in a week? I stopped counting. I think I easily, at least not just me, most of my team, actually there are many members of my team who work many more hours than me. So we easily put in 12 plus hours. I know many of my teammates who put in even 14 plus hours, and some of them can put in more hours because they don't have a family and things like that. They are still bachelors and they can afford to work more. But on an average, I think our whole team puts in easily 12 hours a day, almost for 6.5 days a week, almost. We might take half a day break, but we enjoy the work. We don't feel it like all of our co-founders have been doing it for what, almost close to 2.5 years. We have had ups and downs, but we enjoy the journey. So it's fun. The half a day break we take is to spend time with family, to go out for a dinner. Now we can't go out also, or just to have a chat on Zoom or Skype with our family and things like that, right? So 12 hours, I think if I have to estimate it, 12 hours is the average time that our team spends. Again, somebody is saying, what about attempting new questions of GATE? Again, don't worry, GATE questions are like, on an average, if you look at most GATE questions in any of the last 5-6 years question papers, they are not rocket science questions. There may be 1%, 2% new questions. Even if you don't answer them, most questions are very similar to questions that you have gotten in the previous years. So you can answer them. Don't worry about it. So somebody is talking about DLD. I think I mentioned this in the previous session also. We'll start uploading them and we should have everything in place by early June. This is something that we promised to you earlier also. I'm already recording them now with the help of all of our team who is writing notes. So we'll start uploading them soon in chunks, and hopefully we should have everything done by early June. Again, we have videos by Professor Mallikarjun Rao right now, but on students' requests, I'm redoing them. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so yeah, so I'll avoid taking, I may not be able to answer all the questions. Sorry, I forgot the time. It's already 8:05. I completely missed that. So we've already spent 1 hour. We hope, I'll share the whole document, the PDF in the description section of this video. We hope you have learned the importance of short-term motivation, and most importantly, the importance of building habits, right? Because if you have, it's only through habits that you can succeed in the long term. Please understand that fact, okay? Because motivation comes and goes. There will be rough days, there will be hard days. It is the habit forming stuff that you should try and focus on, okay? So see you the coming Friday, again at 7 p.m. We have an interactive problem solving session, the first of its kind for theory of computation, right? We have already announced that in our announcement videos. So see you the coming Friday.